The year is 490 BC, and 25,000 Persian invaders race up the beach at the Bay of Marathon. Meeting them are 10,000 outnumbered Greek defenders. The Persian and Athenian animosity dates back to 493 BC. Athens had successfully backed the revolt of Ionia in present-day Turkey. This would enrage the Persian king Darius, who with expansionist plans would wait to take his revenge. The opportunity presented itself 3 years later. The Athenians had overturned their king, Hippias, who fled to Persia. With the former Athenian king as an advisor, King Darius began to marshal a huge army from all corners of his empire. His intent was to reinstall Hippias as his puppet upon the Athenian throne, and probably the rest of Greece. As this army gathered, the Athenians sent a day runner to Sparta asking for their aid. The runner, Teutoburg, ran the 150 miles between the two cities in under 3 days. The Spartans, however, stated they were celebrating one of their many religious holidays and would march after it was over. This was likely a convenient excuse, as the Spartans hated the other Greeks and weren't in a rush to assist them. They also had the very real concern of their slaves, called helots, revolting should they march their entire army away from home. So Sparta would sit this one out. Hippias informed the Persians of the perfect place to land their army, which was borne by 600 ships. The plains of Marathon were wide open and ideal for the cavalry and light infantry that Persians were known for. The Athenians marched to meet them. For 4 days, the two armies faced each other in a standoff. The Greeks in a strong hilly position waiting for the Spartan reinforcements. The Persians arraying their men and hoping those Greeks still loyal to Hippias would rise up. The Persians, however, gambled on a quick victory. Under cover of darkness, they reloaded their cavalry and some infantry back into the ships, and began a 10-hour journey around the peninsula to assault Athens directly. Half the army, some 12,000 men, were left at Marathon. This presented the Greeks with a unique opportunity to face half the Persian army in an almost fair battle. Armament. The Greeks had long spears and the xiphos, a short sword. The Persians, a mixed match of weaponry. Defenses. This was before the advent of head-to-toe metal armor for hoplites, so instead, the Greeks wore leather with large metal shields, helms, and greaves, giving them good protection. The Persians wore leather armor with wicker shields. Utility. With such a large army, the Persians must attack or starve. As the battle commenced, the Greeks spread into a long line so that they could match the length of the Persian battle line and wouldn't be enveloped. The Greek commander, Miltiades, ordered the center of his line weakened to only 4 men deep instead of the traditional 8-deep phalanx. While the flanks remained a full phalanx, it's a matter of some contention whether this was an intentional strategy to force his center line to break early, or if this was only a reaction to match the much longer Persian battle line. As the battle commenced, Greek hoplites advanced to within arrow range, then suddenly broke into a sprint for the last 400 yards. This surprised the Persians, who didn't expect the Greeks to be able to run in their 70 pounds of heavy armor. A battle ensued for some time. Gradually, however, the Greek center began to give ground. Without the full 8 men of a phalanx, they were slowly pushed back by sheer weight of the Persian numbers. On the flank, the opposite was happening, as the full Greek phalanx ground the Persians back, then wheeled, collapsing in on the center. A slaughter ensued, as the flanks of the Persian formation were suddenly under attack and broke. The Persians ran back towards their ships while pursued and slaughtered by the Greeks. And with that, the battle was won, at least for now. Half the Persian army was still on its way to sack Athens, so the Greeks performed a 26-mile forced march in full battle gear, including Teutoburg again, who ran the 26 miles, then according to legend, collapsed dead in Athens. This is where the modern marathon race originates from. When Darius arrived, he saw rows of Athenian hoplites waiting for him on the beach, an army he thought his army had just defeated. In the end, the Persians simply went home rather than attempt a second landing. Roughly 4,000 Persians died at the cost of only some 1,500 Greeks. Greece was saved, at least temporarily. The Persians would later return under Darius' son Xerxes, with even more men at the very famous Battle of Thermopylae, but that is a story for another day. I'd really quickly like to talk about issues of historical contention. There are a few issues in the historical record I feel need more explanation rather than just being accepted as facts. History isn't always as clear as we'd like it to be, and that goes for Marathon as well. First, the numbers of combatants are even more in question than normal, as we only know the number of ships present and must extrapolate the number of Persians present based on that. The second is that the exact location of the Persian cavalry is unknown. All that's known is that they didn't participate in the battle. Combine that with the fact we know the Persians attempted a 10-hour flanking maneuver by boat, which the Athenians barely matched with a several-hour marathon-length forced march, indicates that this was most likely the position of the Persian cavalry. I've also read other theories that perhaps they were away foraging or escorting supplies, and it's entirely possible that the attempted direct assault on Athens was really the bulk of the Persian force, having already been trounced once at Marathon, driven back to their ships, and then attempting the flanking maneuver. History just isn't clear on this issue.